Okay, welcome everybody to Fitter and Faster Live TV. We really appreciate everybody being here with us today. It's a special presentation for us. We've got heavyweight champion boxer Otto Wallin with us today, and I'd like to introduce him to the show right now. Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. So, thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us. You know, this is obviously it's a swimming crowd predominantly, but I'm sure there are some people that are interested in boxing. And really what we wanted to do is just get into the mindset of different athletes and how they prepare themselves, why they do their sport. And obviously we had some connections that we're able to link up, and we really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's very always interesting to talk to other athletes and different sports and stuff. I think there's a lot of similarities in sports and the mindsets and stuff. So it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I'm going to ask you some questions. If you have anything that you want to ask me, I'll try and relate it to swimming, because obviously there's a lot of coaches listening today. There's a lot of athletes, but and this will get replayed as well, so people will take a lot of interest in this. But just starting off, where are you right now?
I'm in New York. I've been here for 3 years, living and training in New York. So I'm here right now, and the city is on lockdown. So I built pretty much a gym here at home.
Oh,
in
wow.
my apartment. I didn't have anything when this all started, but now I'm getting around pretty good.
Oh, wow, that's awesome, man. Well, listen, again, thanks very much. My name is Brett Hawke. I am originally Australian. I moved to America 15 years ago to coach, and I've coached at the past 3 Olympics for various people, and I've coached a couple of people that have won Olympic gold medals. So I've been very fortunate in the sport to be around some of the best athletes. But I've always got an interest in talking to other athletes like yourself, you know. So thank you. So we'll just get into it. When did you start boxing and why?
I started boxing when I was 15. My father had been a boxer, and he was a trainer a little bit. And then I had an older brother. He's also been a boxer. Then he later went to Muay Thai, but that's probably why I started. I didn't start before that because my parents wouldn't allow me. And they had told me when I start high school, I can go start boxing.
Okay.
So before I started boxing, I did ice hockey, soccer, even swimming when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah?
I had only one competition. I finished last in there, and I didn't dare to dive in, so I just jumped in normal.
Don't tell me the boxing champion was afraid of the water. Come on.
Yeah, no, actually, to this day I can't dive. I mean, I probably can, but I'm really scared of it.
Okay, well, we're going to overcome that fear. I can help you with that.
Hopefully.
I'm a little scared of getting punched in the face, so that's probably even.
Yeah.
So listen, when you started first training boxing, what was the training like?
The training was, I went down there, started with it within the beginners group, of course, and I had trainers taking care of me, and we went over the basics. I had a little understanding because I used to train some with my father and brothers at home, but the training was a lot different from the other sports I have done, because I remember I was so exhausted after the first training session. When we were stretching afterwards, I almost passed out. So I felt maybe that was because we were using the whole body, and I had played mostly soccer before that, and then it's a lot of running and using the lower body. So maybe that was why. But then I got adjusted to it. But I remember it was really hard in the beginning.
Yeah, it is very hard. I did a little bit of boxing when I was younger, not too much, but okay. I did a few rounds of sparring, and
nice.
I actually interviewed Carl Lewis, very famous track runner, a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I showed him how to run. So I'll show you my boxing style. No, I'm kidding. But I found when I was sparring, my hands got very heavy. Like, what's the deal with that? It's like, you think just holding your hands up is simple, but your hands get so heavy in boxing.
Yeah, that's part of it. And I also remember that when I started. But I mean, you have gloves on if you're sparring, and when you punch, you get a lot of acid in the shoulders, and you get very tired. So that's a big part of it. Just working and working, and then you get used to it. I think it's with anything, you just have to work and work, and then you get used to it, of course. But at first, it's very different.
So is it for you? Is it just a matter of sparring, or do you do cross training as well?
Yeah, I do a lot of training. Basically nothing really specific, just to keep my hands up more than just boxing. Yeah. But I do a lot of weight training. I do a lot of biking and cross trainer. I don't do a lot of running because we find running very hard for me. I'm a big guy. I'm a good runner, but we try to build some power, and sometimes it can be hard to build power if you run too much, and you can get injured, and it's a lot of wear and tear also for a big guy like me. I'm about 240 pounds, so we're taking another route there than a lot of boxers. So that's a little different. I think most boxers runs a lot, but I don't. So I do the biking and the cross trainer for my cardio.
Now, did you get into any trouble as a kid? Did you get into any fights as a kid?
I mean, I've been in fights, but I wasn't a bad kid or anything. I just had a lot of energy. We did a lot of mischiefs, but nothing too serious. And I mean, some fights, but I think that goes in most kids.
Yeah, sure. Now, were you? When did you first realize that you were pretty good at boxing, or you had a talent for it?
Actually, right away when I started boxing, when I went down to the club, I felt that it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed being there, and I felt like I was getting better each training. I felt like I could be something almost right away. And I also had good support with my father. He believed in me a lot, and he saw me train, and he installed a lot of belief in me also. But I pretty much felt right away that boxing was what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it was a big difference for me, because I was never very good at soccer or ice hockey or anything. So when I started boxing, I felt that I was pretty good, and I really wanted to do something there.
When did you have your first amateur fight?
So I was going into 16 when I first started.
16.
But then I had my first fight, I think at 17 I had light contact fights, 3 of those, I think. And then at 18 I had my first real amateur fight.
Is that with headgear on as well?
Yeah, headgear and gloves, of course. Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, for a non-swimmer, when you look at swimming, it looks really easy and really, effortless. And when I look at a boxer like you, it looks the same, easy and effortless. There's obviously a lot of technicalities that go into boxing. They call it the art of boxing. So is that something that you have to study a lot as well?
Yeah, of course. I've been fortunate to have good trainers my whole career, and outside of that, when I was younger, I used to watch a lot of boxing. I first started watching Muhammad Ali. My father was a big fan of him. My big brother liked Mike Tyson, and had like Mike Tyson video VHS at home, so I would watch that.
Yeah.
And then I would watch a lot of boxing when I was younger. A lot of documentaries of Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, different guys, Roy Jones, and a lot of guys. Now, as I've been getting older, I don't watch as much. But when I was younger, I used to watch very much. But then I got good trainers, like I said, and they watch a lot of boxing. And my head boxing trainer here in New York, he's been a world champion, Joey Gamache, and he's been great for my career. I've been with him for almost 7 years now. Yeah.
Well, obviously, I want to get into the mental side of it, because that applies to what we all do in sport. There's very much a mental side to all sports. It plays a big role, and just like I'm sure it does in boxing. So can you take us back to when you first started to fight as an amateur? Can you remember those first few fights, and what was your mental approach to those few fights?
Yeah, I remember everything before and after, but then in the fights, I didn't remember much. I know. So, when you get in the ring, it's a very different feeling. I'm sure it it's not too far out from different sport, I would think, because you get up on a stage and you need to perform. So but then you got to add that you can get hurt in boxing. I think that's, we think of that, of course. But if you go out and gonna have a race, you of course got to be nervous and everything, because everybody's got to be watching, and you don't want to make a fool of yourself. You want to perform, and you put a lot of time into it. So when you go in there, you're nervous. And for me, when I first started, I was nervous, scared before, but I wanted to do it, and I wanted to get out there and do well. But it wasn't easy. I was very nervous. And like I said, I didn't remember much from the actual fight.
So when you're nervous early on in your career as a boxer, are you nervous because you're thinking about all the things that can go wrong, or are you thinking about, representing your family and not embarrassing them? What's the main thing you're thinking of that's making you nervous?
I think it's a mix of everything. Like I said, you go in there, you have put a lot of work in. You got your family and friends watching on from the side. You don't want to make a fool out of yourself. At the same time, you don't want to get hurt either. But I don't think getting hurt is the biggest concern. It's more about not making a fool of yourself and looking bad, I think. And of course, you always think about what people are gonna say about you. But I think you got to learn how to deal with that. And that's not something I care too much about any longer.
Yeah. There's 2 points in boxing that I'm really, really interested in. I never spoken to anyone in depth about it. But first of all, the face-off. When you meet your opponent and you do the weigh-in or whatever, but you have that moment where you face off, or it might be at a press conference or something. What is that moment actually like?
That moment, for me, it doesn't mean too much. It is what it is. Whatever somebody's saying before a fight, or how they act or whatever, it won't matter in the actual fight. They can say whatever they want to. Like when I fought Fury, I just tried to be myself at all times. He was a big star. I was a big underdog. So I just thought, I'm not here to be his friend or anything. So I was just there handling business, and we focused on me, myself, and my team, and we didn't pay much attention to what he was doing. And I felt that was a good thing for me, because I think that he had a hard time getting a grip on me, because he is a guy that likes to talk and likes to showboat. So a lot of guys play into that, and he gets his way somehow. But he couldn't get that with me. So I just try to be myself. So I don't care too much about face-offs and press conferences and stuff. I think people can say whatever they want to, but we see what really goes on when we get in the ring.
Can you tell if somebody's nervous or if they're confident, or can you really see in their eyes? Like, does that matter?
Yeah, you can see something. So you see with Fury, for example, he's a guy that want to be like a tough guy and stuff. So if you watch an hour's face-off at the weigh-ins, I was prepared for him, because he usually talks and say stuff to you, and I was prepared for that. So I had thought of some lines that I was gonna tell him if he started going off. So you can just see me at the face-off at the weigh-in that I'm just holding my ground. I stay right in his face, and I'm just telling that I'm ready for you, because he was saying that he was gonna knock me out and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was just telling, I'm ready for you. I'm going home as a champion, because he was saying that I'm gonna go home with my tail between my legs and stuff. So then he tried to get bigger, get in my face even more to push me back. But I just stood on my ground, and I think I have an ability to show that I'm pretty confident in myself, because I don't get caught up in that stuff too much.
Yeah.
And so he had to showboat and stuff, thought that I was gonna give in, but I didn't. So I think that just played in my favor.
It's almost like two lions kind of clashing, right? Where they're kind of, showing the other one who's bigger, who's stronger a little bit, right? Like almost like a mental pose.
Yeah. But for me, what really matters is when we get in that ring. There's also a thing they say in boxing, when you do the face-offs, that the person that look away first, he's weak mentally. But to me, that doesn't really, I don't really go up in that. But actually, when I fought Fury, he looked away, he looked back. and then I knew that was it. So I just turned to the crowd.
Yeah, wow, that's pretty cool. I do want to get into the Fury fight. Obviously, I watched it in full a few hours ago. Actually, you can find it online. I'm not sure what language it was in. It wasn't in English, but at least the fight itself I could watch. And you had an amazing performance, and you shocked the world. And quite honestly, as you know, the fight could have been stopped early because of the cut that he had. But yeah, you had an incredible performance there. Just tell us, how did that fight come about in the first place?
It came about, I was home in Sweden in the summer, and then I got a text message one day. My promoter asked me and my team if we were interested in fighting Tyson Fury. It's going to be in Las Vegas or Boston. So we said yes, of course. And wow, it took off from there. So somehow they contacted my promoter and gave us the offer. But what they usually do is they reach out to a lot of guys. So maybe they had reached out to 3 or 5 guys for this fight. So I didn't care too much. In the beginning, I didn't think too much of it. But then we said yes. And as the days went by, it seemed more and more real.
Wow, that's awesome. When I swam at the Olympics, because I swam at 2 Olympics for Australia, I swam the 50 freestyle, very short race, very fast race, very powerful speed race. A lot of the guys that I raced were 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". I'm 6'2", so I'm a little bit shorter. So in my mind, I had to figure out their strengths and weaknesses and my strengths and weaknesses. Obviously, you know, I didn't have the reach that they had, but I had a little bit more turnover and speed in the pool. So things that they may have had over me, I had different things over them. And that's the way I compromised it in my head. You're always going to have somebody that's a bit bigger and a bit stronger, a bit taller, whatever it is. And so you have to figure out ways that you can beat them. Is that the same thing that you did with, let's say, Tyson Fury, who's 6'9" or however tall he is, he's a big boy? You thinking the same thing?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of tactics going in there. And with Fury, he's a big guy, and we knew from watching him over the years that he likes to dance and showboat. He can fight with his hand behind his back sometimes. And so when he does that, he's very comfortable. And people sometimes let him be comfortable by giving him too much respect. So what we wanted to do, I was a little smaller, so we wanted to get in his face and be aggressive and push him back and make sure he can't be comfortable like that. So that's what I was doing, and he couldn't be. I didn't let him get comfortable. It was a real dogfight all the way through. So that was part of it. But I think a lot of times people look up to these guys too much. I was there to win, and whatever people were saying before the fight, I knew that I could do well and I could beat him. So I just went in there with no respect, and I knew that I had the tools to do it. I came close. I didn't get it, but it was a good performance at least.
Yeah. Well, obviously going in, you're coming off the back of a lot of experience, and when you have experience, you have good experiences and bad experiences. Obviously, you had a lot of wins. I'm sure there were times where you may have lost a fight or two. I'm not sure. You know, maybe as an amateur or whatever. Is there a time you can remember where you thought you were going to win a fight and you lost and you were completely devastated by it?
Yeah. So as an amateur, I turned pro pretty early, but when I was when I was 21 in 2012, I went to the Olympic qualification in Turkey. So I had just taken the first spot in Sweden, the national team, and I had done well in some fights and stuff. So they thought that they would send me over to the Olympic qualifications. This was a bit early for me in my career, but I went out there and I fought the European champion my first fight. And after the first round, it was 5-5. The scores was 5-5. Then I got knocked out in the second round. So, of course, I was out of the tournament. It was a big disappointment, and I was knocked out and beaten. But I didn't let it break me because I knew that I had long-term goals. at that time I wanted to go to the Olympics, and the next Olympics was going to be in 2016, and that was my real goal. So that helped me to have long-term goals. I knew this isn't the end for me, it's just the beginning. So I just try to get back and try to keep focused on my long-term goals, and whatever comes in between, you know, just trying to get better, just try to get more experience. So that was very important for me. I had you know, good family around me and good friends. So I knew that I could do better, and I just needed more training. So that was a big setback, but I learned a lot from it, and I got better from there.
I love that. It's great advice for all athletes. You know, you're going to experience some setbacks, and
yeah,
we don't get to the point in swimming where we get knocked out, but it feels like that. You know, it feels like a punch to the stomach. You know, and if you don't care about your sport, it won't matter to you. But if you care about it, you learn from it, and you go back and you figure out how to get better, right?
Yeah. I think that's very important, because everybody's gonna develop differently. Some are early bloomers, some are late bloomers. So you just gotta take your time and don't be in a rush. If you want to get good, you need to take your time. You need to put the work in and let it take time. So I'm 29 now. I started boxing when I was 15, and I pretty much just had my break with that fight with Fury. So it's been almost 15 years.
Yeah. What have you think you've learned over time in terms of the way that you approach fights, or your mentality? You know, what type of temperament do you have? How did you develop your own temperament?
The temperament in the fight, you're saying?
Yeah, like I guess in the lead up to a fight. Are you the kind of guy that loves to be pumped up, or do you like to be relaxed before a fight? And how did that develop over time?
I mean, tension is always going to be there. So tension is never a problem when you get close to a fight, at least for me.
Yeah.
But I'm usually trying to keep things as normal as possible. Just do what I usually do, and not trying. But live my normal life. It's not like I'm like restraining myself from all these things like 2 months out or anything. But I'm trying to be smart. I'm trying to eat right, of course. Just get good stuff in my body. But it's not like like I said, it's not like I'm taking everything away. You still have to live your life.
Yeah.
So
well, let me ask you this question in relation to that. You know, when you're on, you've obviously had a lot of fights, and not every fight on fight day you're going to wake up and you feel like it's the best day of your life, right? And so you still have to fight. You know, when we go to the Olympics, they say, all right, your event is on this day. If you wake up on that day and you don't feel good, they're not going to change the event for you, you know? So you have to be ready no matter what. So have you experienced a time where you've woken up on fight day and you've like, I'm going to have to really dig deep today?
Yeah. I never fought when I was sick or anything, but I remember one time I woke up and I had a fight that day, and I felt like I didn't care, almost. I felt like tired and sluggish. So I got a good psychiatrist back home in Sweden. So I called him, talked about it, and he kind of broke it down for me pretty good. He said we have fight or flight behavior. So maybe it was more of a flight behavior that I didn't really care, but just try to stay focused and not worry too much about it. Because when you go into a race or a fight, I mean, you've been putting all this training in, and you've been maximizing everything leading up to the fight, you know, just getting better and getting in top shape. So I think the brain can play a really big part of it. If you wake up and you feel bad, doesn't mean you're really bad, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So I feel a lot of times when I go into a training session, I can feel really tired or sluggish, but then I go in there and I have my best workout. So I think the same with fights, that I mean, as long as you're not sick or anything, you should be all right. I think. Yeah,
absolutely. I think the same thing. You know, I think we can. A lot of the times we manufacture things in our head too, like we think to ourselves we're not feeling good, but like you said, then once we get into the ring or once we get into the pool, things completely change, and we have a great workout, or we have a great event. So
yeah, I really think that what you're telling yourself in your mind comes, I mean, that matters. That matters. Because,
yeah.
for example, like I've been hanging around some track and field athletes over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I used to train in a gym. I used to live in Denmark, and I was training with them. And I noticed in the track and field community sometimes, always when I would ask them, hey, how are you doing? Oh, I'm all right, but I got a little, tension in my back thigh, and I don't feel that well. But I felt like that was a lot of times. But then if you ask a boxer, I think we are more used to like not showing it. So if you would ask a boxer, how's it going? Yeah, great, man. I'm in great shape. I feel good.
Yeah.
So I really think that plays a part. And I think really what you tell yourself in your mind, that's how you're going to feel.
So what do you think, what is mental toughness to you in boxing? What is actually mental toughness?
To me, mental toughness is discipline. Mm-hmm. A lot of people want to talk about motivation, and I've never been a guy that watches like motivation speech and stuff. When I was younger, yes, I would watch like Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali. I had Muhammad Ali posters in my bedroom with quotes and stuff.
Yeah.
So that I was very inspired of that, of course. But I think mostly like motivation is gonna go up and down.
Yeah.
Some days you're gonna feel great, you really want to go work out, and some days you just want to stay in bed. That's how I feel a lot of days. I just want to stay in bed and not go work out. But then I got the discipline, so I do it anyways. Mm-hmm. And I feel good afterwards. So I really think discipline is really a big part. You just, not saying that rest is not important, but you need to do the work also.
Well, that's it. And you really hit the nail on the head, and that applies to all sports. And that's such a powerful message to anybody that's playing sport. It's not about motivation, because motivation is going to go like this.
Yeah.
But your discipline has to stay like that. You can't compromise on your discipline if you want to be successful.
No, exactly. And that's what I meant also before when I was knocked out, and I said that I had long-term goals. Just trying to stay disciplined and look, see the light at the end of the tunnel. Just put in the work.
So in boxing, how do you develop your discipline?
I mean, you're saying like fighting and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, for you, I mean, were you always a disciplined kid, or did you have to learn discipline?
I was always a disciplined kid, I would say. I come from a working class family. My mom and dad went to work every day, didn't complain. Me and my family, we didn't have a lot of money. We always had food. It's not that, but we didn't have a lot of money. So I learned how to work for my things and appreciate my things. So I think that was a good lesson for me. Before I turned pro, I was working and started working when I was 15 in the summers. And, I learned how to take care of myself and work for everything I have. So I think that was a good lesson also for boxing, that I knew that there's no way around it. You have to work for it. Yeah.
You seem like the type of guy who thanks his coaches at the end of each practice. Is that right?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, me and my trainer, Joe, we have a really good bond. Also, my strength and conditioning coach, Rooney, we have a good bond. So we thank each other. We appreciate each other.
That's great. I love that. That's a good message too, So, yeah. Let me ask you this.
Yeah, can I just touch on this?
Yeah.
When we talk about trainers, I think loyalty is important, especially in boxing, because I've been fortunate to have good trainers around me, but I also made it work. That I've been loyal to them, and I understood that they have a plan for me, and I want to follow that. And a trainer, let's say a boxing trainer, they put in so much time in you, and then all of a sudden you get successful, you can start making money, and then a lot of guys go to a different trainer. So what happens to the trainer you had your whole career, they get nothing.
Yeah.
That's sometimes hard. Sometimes you need a change. I understand that, but try to be disciplined and trust your trainer if you have a good one, and he will trust you.
I love that. Yeah, that's a very good message too, because I'm like that too. I think loyalty is very important. You guys put in equal amount of dedication and work. I mean, they're passionate about you. They care for you. They're thinking about you all the time, even though you might not think they are. They always are.
Yeah.
I found that out as a coach myself, that your coaches really do care about you a lot.
Yeah, for sure. So it goes both ways, you know. Sometimes maybe you need new input, but talk to your trainer. Maybe you can try different stuff, or you can bring someone else in to have a look, you know. But try to be honest with them and try to be loyal as much as possible.
Now, I noticed when you fought Fury, you had a record of 20-0, right? Before you fought.
Yeah.
So if you win 20 fights in a row, how do you learn? How do you grow if you're just continuing to win every fight? How was that growth process for you?
Yeah, first of all, I mean, in the amateurs, a win or loss doesn't really matter, right? So in the amateurs, we pick up a lot of experience, and you like to pick up a lot of experience before you turn in pro. I didn't have the longest amateur career, but I picked up some good experience and then turned pro. And the mindset with being like 20-0 and building up is that you fight different guys on the way up to give you a test each time, and there's a lot of business behind it. So you gotta develop. You want a guy, of course, that's undefeated. That's always good for the business side of things. But you need opponents that you beat, but they take you a few rounds, maybe show you a new look, and you learn from that. So it's not just about winning, but you learn from each fight, and the trainer sees what you lack and what you need to improve on and what you do well and stuff. So fighting different styles and different guys, you know, big, small, southpaw, orthodox, it all matters.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you're just learning from each time you go out there, I guess. So that's good.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's not just the fighting, but you have sparring also. So I've been fortunate to spar a lot of good fighters over the years, and that's the closest thing you get to a real fight. So that's always good also. You pick up experience in sparring and training.
Yeah. I want to ask you a couple more questions about fight night itself. What's it like in the locker room?
The locker room is tense.
Yeah.
Because you know that you're going to go out there and you have to perform. There's a lot on stake. The fight might be on TV, and family and friends are watching. So it's tense. And you go up, in my case, I go up against real big guys, you know.
Yeah.
Fury at 260 pounds, 6'9". So it's no joke. And it's tense, of course. But
how do you stay loose in the locker room then? You don't want too much tension.
Don't want too much tensions, but trying to be myself at all times. That's always been good to me. I just trying to be myself, you know. But also I get a lot of confidence from the work we put in training.
Mm-hmm.
So I mentioned I had good trainers. We get good sparring before. So it's like trying to make it as another day at the office. But when you fight 2-3 times a year, it's hard, of course.
Yeah.
But sparring is a big part of it. And like I said, I get a lot of confidence from the work I put in, because I know I work very hard in the gym and I do everything I can to perform. So then when I go out there, whatever happens. But I really tried my best, and I've done everything I can to win.
Do you have routines that help you on fight night? Like you warm up the same way each time, or is there a certain routine that you have?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it differs too much from actual training. So I'm not a guy that tie my right shoe first and stuff like that.
Oh, you're not superstitious?
No, not really. I don't need more things to think about. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. All right, now what about this? What about when they announce your name and the music's playing and you're walking towards the ring? What's actually going through your head then?
Yeah, it's kind of like I wanna say that I feel that the time is finally here. It's finally gonna go up there and perform and to show myself. So I want to say that, but it's a lot of emotions involved. So that's one thing I feel like, the time is finally here. It's finally fight time. We've been training for this, and it's finally here. But then at the same time, you're scared and nervous. You don't know what's going to happen. So it's different. But I feel like the closer I get to the ring, the more confident I get somehow.
Yeah.
It's not just, being in the locker room, like being in a cage almost, and then you get, at least you get, when you go to the ring, you get let out and things are taking over. You see your family, your friends, and it's kind of fun and a lot of different stuff going on.
You notice things around you, or are you kind of locked in on the ring itself, or are you seeing the crowd?
I'm seeing the crowd. I'm just trying to accept everything that's going on, and I feel like it's hard to just block everything out, but I try to keep focused, of course. But I mean, you're aware of what's going on somehow.
Yeah. And what about this now? Once you're in the ring and you see the opponent on the other side, what are you thinking right then?
Then usually we get in there. My trainer talks to me, reminds me of the game plan, do this, do that. And sometimes he will say, oh, look at his belly. He look a little flabby, so hit him to the body. So yeah, trying to just remember the game plan. Maybe throw a through punch, 1 or 2 punches in there to get, fill the ring out and stuff. But just try to keep the focus on the game plan.
Okay, yeah.
What I'm gonna do when the bell rings.
Good. Now, have you ever hated somebody so much that you don't touch gloves? Have you ever done that?
It's not allowed not to touch gloves in boxing. You have to.
Oh, you have to touch gloves.
Yeah. So the referee makes sure.
They grab.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's kind of like the face off and stuff.
Yeah.
You can actually see that with my fight with Fury also. Right when the referee says touch gloves, I just hit his glove and go back to my corner and ready to fight.
Yeah.
So some guys, they go like they think too much about that too, I believe. They just try to do it harder than the other guy and stuff. So but for me, I just touch it, go back to the corner, and I think that shows that I'm ready to fight. I'm not there to play any games. I just touch it back to the corner and I'm just ready. And then the other guy feels maybe a little off and after.
Yeah. Now, answer me this. I haven't been punched very much, but where's the worst place to get punched, you think?
The really worst place is being hit on the right side of your body, around the rib area.
Really? What's in there?
Yeah, the liver.
The liver. Okay.
So when you get hit on the liver, then it hurts.
Really?
I've been knocked down once. When I first started boxing, I had maybe been training for like a couple of years. We had a really good amateur Olympic boxer in Sweden in my club, and he hit me a good punch there, and I went down, and it hurt so much, but I got up, and I've never been knocked down with a body punch since. But I've taken some good shots, but you learn how to mask it.
Oh wow! So what does it feel like when you get punched in the liver?
It just loses your breath, and like you start making sounds like
can't breathe.
You can't control it, but you just lose everything, and that's what happens. If it touches you really good, and you're not ready for it.
So it's like a tennis racket. There's like a sweet spot. If you hit that sweet spot, it can really get you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what about in the face? Like where you feel like it? Where is a knockout punch for you in the face?
I would say knockout punches. In boxing, we say you get knocked out with the punches you don't see. So if you don't, for example, if you get hit with a hook, that's always dangerous because it comes from the side. It could come from the blind side. When you don't see it coming. So you got to just set it up good and then drop it. But I wouldn't say there's any place that hurts more than others. Maybe if you get an uppercut on the nose, it can hurt. And the jaw after the fight, at least it hurts, like when you try to chew and stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of knockouts come from hooks actually around this area, or at the top of the head around here.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
But when you get knocked out, you don't really feel it. It's like when I got knocked out, it was like I just woke up like I had been asleep almost.
Oh, really? You don't really know what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any thought of ever going into anything but boxing, like MMA? Have you ever thought of that?
No, not really.
No.
That's going into a whole new sport.
Yeah.
I don't have any wrestling experience, no kicking, so not right now. Who knows what the future holds, but never thought of that for right now.
Do you think you'll get another shot soon at a world championship?
Hopefully. Actually, I had that good performance with Fury, but my rankings went down.
Oh,
So
really?
that's just sometimes how boxing works. I don't know. They count the losses, but in the public eye, I've done a great job, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think I deserve a rematch or a shot on any of the other guys. So right now, we just got to get back out there and try to get some wins and hopefully position myself so I can get another shot. But like with Fury, it can happen with boxing. I just got the call one day, and then the chance was there, so we took it, of course.
And you think you'd like to try again on that one, hey?
On Fury?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Fury, after our fight, he beat the world champion Deontay Wilder, stopped him.
Yeah.
So I think I deserve it, and hopefully I get it, and I want it, of course.
Yeah. Okay. What about Anthony Joshua? Is that a possibility?
Anything is possible. They have their own agenda, of course, but I want to fight him. He's a world champion also. Him and Fury are the two world champions right now.
Yeah.
So I want to fight any of them. And actually, I fought Joshua twice in the amateurs.
Oh, really?
And unfortunately, I lost 2 decisions, but it was good fights. Then before he won his first world title as a pro, I was his first sparring partner. So we sparred maybe 150 rounds before that fight.
Oh, wow.
And so we know each other pretty well. But I want to fight him again, and hopefully the third time around, I think I beat him.
Yeah. What's your best punches? So I mean, when people analyze you, what do they say that you do the best?
I would think that they say that I got a clean technique, I got good technique, good basics, but I got a lot of knockouts actually with that liver shot.
Ah.
So that's one of my best shots, that I got a nice left hook to the liver.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
I don't just gotta know where that is, and that's on the right side.
I don't want any taste of that. Don't worry about it. What else? I mean, have you got any questions for me as an Olympic athlete? You want to know anything?
Yeah. How do you feel before a race? And do you think there's any similarities or differences from what I said?
A lot of similarities, yeah. And I feel similar. Actually, for me, it's kind of like a prize fight. When you fight a guy like Tyson Fury, you know that may come around once in a career, or it might only come around a couple of times. So when I swam at the Olympic Games, I knew you only get one shot every 4 years. You know, so I knew all this preparation for 4 years was for this one event. And so, you know, in the couple of days before it is the worst time. You're sitting around hotel rooms, or you're sitting around the Olympic Village, and you're just you feel like you're helpless, because you just want to get to the event. You want to get to it. You want to start doing what you've trained to do. You're mentally ready, you're physically ready, but you've got to wait a few days. So those last few days are terrible. There were actually some times where I got so nervous. It's hard to admit this, but I got so nervous sometimes that I actually threw up, you know. Not a lot, but just like I got nervous, you know what I mean? Have you ever had a thing like that where you threw up before an event?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, but nervous, of course.
Yeah. So I would get a little bit nervous, but then I felt better after that. So it didn't happen very often, but when it did happen, I felt better after I released the nerves. But a lot of it is just the pressure that you put on yourself. You know, you're thinking about you're thinking about your family, like this could change your life, or if I win an Olympic gold medal, my whole life is going to be different, you know. And then so you think about all the good things that can happen. You think about all the bad things that can happen. And then ultimately, also when you prepare and you wait, doubts start to creep in. You know, am I ready? Have I done enough? You know, am I going to be at my best? And so there's a lot of self-talk that happens as well. So you have to be able to control the self-talk, the things that are coming into your head. You have to say to yourself, is this real? Is this factual? Or should I just push it out? You know, so a lot of the times you've got to be very conscious of what you're telling yourself as well, right?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say before when I mentioned those track and field guys, you know, always something wrong and stuff. So you got to be really conscious about what you tell yourself. and you know, you deserve to be at the Olympics, and now it's just time to go out there and show it.
Yeah.
I think also that it's important to dare to lose, not to be too scared to lose. You know, I think that's important. I think I've had good talks with my psychologist about this, and from how we see it, we feel like it gives you more space, like what you can do, not like you can always only do this and nothing this. So it takes a lot away from it. So I think if you dare to lose, you can really give it your all and really push outside of what you're not used to, instead of just taking a safe route and just keeping it safe, not to lose.
Yeah. Have you been watching the Chicago Bulls documentary with Michael Jordan?
No, I tried to find it. I didn't find it on Netflix now. I think it was on there before.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not sure. It's on ESPN. That's how I've been watching it.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure if
maybe I got to go on ESPN.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they've released it yet, but it just finished last night. But there was some really, really interesting stuff. You would love it because it takes you into his mindset as well and how he thought.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much a physical thing. It was more of how he thought mentally, you know. And Michael Jordan would create scenarios where he would create these scenarios where he would find reasons to beat people. Even if the reason wasn't there, he would look for it. He would find it. And sometimes he would just create a reason. He would say, I don't like a person because of this, so I'm going to beat them, you know? And so he created these scenarios. So do you have that? Like, do you ever have a situation where you fight friends and it's very difficult to get motivated to beat up a friend, but you've got to come back to maybe why you're doing it?
I don't think I ever fought a friend in a fight.
Okay.
But in sparring, of course, I've been sparring a lot of friends.
Oh, really?
But in boxing, I mean, as soon as they start hitting you, you want to hit back.
Yeah.
So, and then when it's over, you're friends again.
Okay.
So, no, I never fought a friend like that.
Yeah.
But sure, I think that, you know, having stuff that I can be annoyed about and stuff like that always helps.
Some finding ways to be motivated, extra motivation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
I want to ask you too, do you guys use a lot of psychologists in the swimming sport?
Yeah, we do. I think that more and more we're using sports psychologists now. You know, the difference for us is it's non-contact. I mean, you have contact.
Yeah.
So you're coming up against one person. We're coming up against, you know, a pool of people who are next to us, but there's no contact with them. So ultimately, our biggest mental challenge is staying within ourselves and not worrying about the opponent. And I'm sure it's probably the same for you. It's like you don't want to give too much credit to the opponent. Ultimately, you're focused on your skills and what you can do and how you can control your own skills. It's not so much about what they're going to do. It's more about what you're going to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's also what I mean, you know, when touching the gloves, doing the face-offs. I just try to stay focused on myself and not wait for them to do something, and then I will react to that.
Yeah.
You know, just be myself.
Yeah. That's the same for us in swimming. You know, when we say stay in your lane, you know, because we have a lane and they have a lane.
Yeah.
And so we always say stay in your lane. And I find my best swims are the ones that, first of all, I can't remember because it was like, wow, what just happened? But it's the ones where I just stay here and I forget about my opponents. But the hardest swims I've ever had are the ones where I'm thinking about what they're doing and watching them. And sometimes when you're swimming, even when you're swimming very fast, you can see the person next to you. So when your attention is over here, they're the hardest swims. And I'm sure it's the same in boxing. When you're focused so much on what they're doing, that must be a really hard boxing match.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Were you able? How did you feel when you were swimming at the Olympics? Did you feel like you got most out of yourself that you could?
The first time I swam was at the Sydney Olympics. It was my home pool. So I grew up in Sydney. So I had hundreds of family and friends there, and everybody I talked to before the event just expected me to win the gold medal. Oh, you're going to win the gold medal. You know, great. And it was like a lot of pressure was building and building and building. And then I remember walking out into the crowd, and there was a huge crowd of 17,000 people. And I remember it was very hard to breathe. I couldn't breathe. I was like, oh, you know, like I just wasn't ready for that, you know. It's like for you when you're training, there's no one at the training facility, but then all of a sudden you go to a fight and there's 20,000 people in the stands. You're like, wow, so it feels really unusual. So my first Olympics in Sydney, I didn't perform as well because of the external factors. The second time I went to the Olympics in 2004 in Athens, in Greece, I made the final of the 50 freestyle, and all I did was I tried to focus on myself. And at the end of the race, I was completely satisfied because I knew that I finished sixth in the race. There was only 5 people in the whole world that beat me that day, and I felt like, well, I did everything I could do, and that's it, you know. And I think you can walk away, even with a loss, you can walk away thinking you did everything you could possibly do, and that gives you satisfaction, you know.
Yeah, exactly. My father used to tell me that when I started boxing. He said, just make sure when you step into the ring that you have done everything you can before it. Then whatever happens, happens. If you win, you win, or if you lose, you at least tried your best, and you couldn't change it.
Yeah, exactly. So.
I think that's important.
And I think you find you get a lot more satisfaction when you do stay focused on yourself. I felt like I'd let a lot of people down because I was being distracted by the external things. You know, I was letting the external things, you know, influence my performance. So I felt like when I stayed internal, then I had a lot more satisfaction of saying, well, I did my best, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that's a great lesson for people and young athletes that. Actually, for me, I've been watching a lot of boxing, like from Vegas and stuff. So I think that has prepared me to some extent. You know, I knew that it was going to be a big crowd. I've been watching, you know, a lot of boxing from Vegas before and picked up experience over the years, of course. But yes, it's just different. You've never done it before. But if you can watch and try to...
Oh, he froze. We lost him real quick. Hopefully it comes back. Get his video back on. Still there? Hopefully we can get him back on real quick. I'm going to try and get him back on. There's a lot of really interesting stuff there. It looks like we have Otto back. We're going to finish up here. We've got about 5 or 6 minutes to go, so hopefully we can get him back on.
Hello?
Yeah,
Hello?
we got you back. There we go.
Oh, sorry, I was cut off.
Yeah.
No, I think visualizing and thinking about all those stuff. But I think that's a great lesson what you said there about all the distractions.
Yeah.
I think that's very important to prepare for.
Yeah.
You don't want to get that in the way, you know, when you're physically perfect, but maybe not really prepared for everything.
Yeah, and I think that's where it comes down to coaching as well. You've got to rely on your coaches to help you be prepared for the moment as well. You're not going to always have that. But let me ask you this real quick. What do you do in terms of recovery? Because obviously you take a lot of punishment. What are some of the things you do for recovery?
Yeah, so, I mean, on a normal day, now actually, I only sparred 2 times since September when I fought Fury because I've been injured and stuff. But we try to always, when you say punishment, I try to be smart about it. So not go have really difficult sparring like every day. That's not good, of course. So we try to have long and good breaks for sparring and fights. So I don't take too much punishment. But when training for recovery, try to always eat good, sleep good, always get 8.5-9 hours each night, and a nap in the day like 20 minutes. So try to have good things, and I'm happy that that boxing is my job now. When I was younger, I had to work, but now I only box. So I have the time to take my time during the day to relax and eat well and just make sure I'm ready for the next workout.
Yeah.
But
awesome.
I definitely sleep and the diet is very important.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Those things are huge for recovery. So,
Yeah.
do you get massage as well?
No.
No.
If I'm injured, yes, but I've never been a big fan of it. Yeah. I mean, it can be nice for me to have a massage here and there, but I don't use it too much.
Yeah. Yeah. That's for soft people. You're not soft. Oh, that's good. Now listen, do you have a fight scheduled for the future?
No. Now it's very up in the air, and I'm recovering from a foot injury. So maybe I'll be able to fight in August, September, somewhere around there.
Okay. All right, great.
And then it would probably be without any crowds.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Now, what about this? Do you see yourself as a world champion? Is that okay to say, like, that you see yourself as a world champion? How do you feel about that?
I think everybody says that they do, but I really believe it, and I think more people believe me now too when I showed with Fury what I can do. And I've only had 21 fights now as a pro, and that's not too much. So the biggest thing I need right now is experience, and I got great experience from that fight, and I will learn from that and get better. So just trying to get more fights and get more experience, and I think I can do it.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, I'm a big fan of yours now. I follow you, and
thank you.
And I hope to come to your fight one day. I'd love to see a fight. But listen, thanks for taking the time with us today. I really appreciate it, Otto.
Thank you very much. And maybe I come out to fight Wilder over there in Alabama. Then you can come.
That'd be fantastic, man. I would love that. I'd love that.
No, thank you very much for having me. It was good to talk to you, and especially a trainer and a former athlete.
Yeah, well, no, I appreciate it. And listen, I want to say, for the people that don't know you personally, I've had some interactions with you on text message and some email, and you've been very nice, very generous with your time, very polite, and we're very thankful. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a good time.
All right, good luck with everything, okay?
Thank you. You too.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.